All right, I think we are here. Hello, everyone. And by everyone, I'm talking to Alana and Kate and anyone else that might have stumbled across our little channel. My name is Eris, and I am from Launch Tabletop. And
Oh
oh,
yeah, and you're listening to it on YouTube at the same time, aren't you?
I just did, and I just had to mute it very quickly.
That
Oh,
sound
Everyone.
was just
did you see my face just like change?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know if you could hear the audio or not, but I
I
certainly
did
could.
the exact same thing. Yeah, yeah.
So we are definitely trialing this. This is very much a new thing for us. So we are all from Launch Tabletop, and this is a podcast called Materialise that we are trying out. And the intention is to talk about and to help other creators with bringing their board game ideas into a physical form. So over the next few, however many weeks we do this, or however long we do this, we will be hoping to interview some people who are makers and involved in production and like just other parts of the board game industry. And we'll also bring more of our team on board to talk to as well. All right, let me look at my sheet and see what I've got to do. What we got next? Okay, so just to give some background for who is Launch Tabletop. Launch Tabletop is a brand new company, but comprised of people who've been in the industry for quite a while, and we are basically a board game manufacturer. So right now, our main product, or like what do you want to call it? Is product the right word? Platform, service
Yeah.
is
Offering.
offering is called Launch Lab, and Launch Lab is a print-on-demand board game manufacturing, service. And I should be prepared, and I should have had a screenshot or something or a video. But anyway, I don't. So next time I'll do that. I'll have something on the screen to show you some of what Launch Lab is. But basically, Launch Lab is a place that you can go and you can put together your game idea and then have it printed. And there's no minimum quantity like a limit, so you can just get 1 or 10 or whatever you want printed. Okay, that's the who are we thing. Oh boy. Okay, so what I thought we would do is we would start off with a little questionnaire, which I am hyphenating between quest and onniere to make it kind of humorous to me. And with a few little questions just for fun that I'll ask both Alana and Kate. And we'll then move on to some more, I guess, serious stuff. But still keep it light, hey? All right, so the first question, and this is to whoever wants to answer first, and then the other person gets to answer knowing the information of the person who answered before.
Are you ready with your buzzer?
Yeah, you're ready with your buzzer. That's what we don't have. We don't have any got a
Hands on
buzzer.
buzzers.
So, are you more of a heart, a diamond, a club, or a spade?
um, Probably hearts. I find it more aesthetically pleasing as a logo. Yeah,
Ah.
that's the only reason.
Mm.
Although if I was playing,
Yeah.
if I was playing Power Bridge, then it would have to be spades. So because that's the
Power Bridge.
yeah.
I've never even heard of Power Bridge. There you
Oh,
go.
it's good fun. Get a deck of cards. It's yeah, a streamlined version of Bridge. So it's
I've never actually even played
yeah,
Bridge. I want to. It's on my to-do list, but I've never done it. Yeah.
yeah. Do you remember that old game on on Windows? What was it called? It was one of the card games, and you'd
Spider
Like
Solitaire.
no, not
Klondike or
this.
Solitaire.
No.
Oh.
It was the one where you play against other people.
Oh.
No, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Yeah, spades if we're playing that. Hearts if you're choosing. Ask me to pick one, just like you are now.
Kate.
If I had to choose, well, I have a lot of feelings and thoughts about things, so maybe hearts.
Yeah.
But I also am very open with my feelings about things, and I've been told that I call a spade a bloody spade.
Fair enough.
I can be a bit of a blunt instrument, so maybe a club. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I
Why do I
wear
have
my
to
heart on
choose?
my sleeve. I don't
I
know.
do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I really have to choose?
No. Well, I mean, you do because I'm asking, but like, really, no. All right. So now this is a much more important and deep and meaningful question. dinosaur pirates or space zombies?
These are important questions.
They're critical to life.
I would go with space pirates.
That wasn't
No,
an
not so
option.
sorry.
Please, Serenity.
Sorry, I would go with space zombies. I think space zombies are more. I think dinosaur pirates are dumb. Yeah, that's about it. I think
Well, I wanted the dinosaur pirate, so that's fine.
You think?
I think if something was going to be canon to our universe, it would be space zombies. Yeah.
Sure, but this is just this is the Alana universe. It doesn't have to match with
Watch
anything
Serenity.
else.
You saw how that turned out with the Reavers, right?
Yeah, but there was also no dinosaur pirates. So
That's not a bad thing.
I just imagine a T-Rex trying to like turn the steering wheel on a giant sailing ship. Like that'd be just hilarious. They'd have to have a custom designed rig for it so it could actually do it.
And what kind of dinosaur would be using its tail as the rudder? Like maybe a Stegosaurus.
Yeah, something with a big
And
tail.
we'd have like Tyrannosaurs hooked up to the mast with their wings.
Yeah, that'd be.
That's
There we
way
go.
too sensible. Dinosaurs are dinosaurs are too goofy to actually be useful.
Hey!
Like
This
an
is
ankylosaur for the anchor. We just overboard.
Oh, that's poor. Just feeling this poor animal just like to solve function just to get drowned like every time you need to anchor. All right, so moving on. What is your favorite snack to play when you're playing a tabletop game? So not to play, favorite snack to have when playing a tabletop game.
Can it be liquid?
Yeah.
Or does it have to be like food?
No. You. This is a very open. You choose.
Wine in that case. A nice glass of Sauv Blanc.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I self-banned myself from having any drinks around board games for for the accidental knocking over of drink onto someone else's board game. It was not a good feeling.
What game was it? Was it something incredibly precious?
It was. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Eris. You might remember. Years ago when we were at Aaron's, were you there? And I knocked over my drink onto is it Alf Kommel Tal Ras or whatever it's called?
Oh, yeah.
You remember that?
I only know I don't know what the correct translation of that game is. I just know what Aaron used to jokingly call it.
Yeah.
But
that was that's one of my favorite games from a long time ago, actually. But that was the waving arms, knocking drink over moment that everybody dreads. It's okay. We salvaged it. It's a pretty hardy game. It's full of poker chips, so they
and it was
pretty well.
It was post PAX. We'd worked the convention, so we were like tired and like it was just that whole
everyone was totally exhausted.
Yeah. And but then we went back and we're playing games, so like of course we were.
Yeah. I don't know if that didn't really answer your questions though. Favorite snack, I'd say.
No, that was just like
Maltesers.
That was what to avoid.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go with Maltesers.
Original or dark chocolate?
Oh no, it's got to be original.
Yeah,
I don't like dark chocolate Maltesers. They're gross.
You're full of opinions.
Dinosaurs are goofy. Dark chocolate.
Dinosaur pirates are dumb.
Yeah, that's right. It's just wow. All right, so we've got two more of these deep questions. Wow, I didn't realize we'd take so long on it. So, cards or dice? Pick one.
Cards.
What's your favorite?
Absolutely cards.
Yeah, I'd have to go cards. I think they're just generally more versatile. When you're traveling, having a deck of cards, there's so many stupid little card games. Yeah, I know, but
not that I'm trying to sway you because I'm actually a pro carder, so it's okay.
That said, I for years I used to carry around a D20 in my bag just for emergencies. So yeah,
your emergency D20.
Did you ever use it in an emergency?
Yeah, it's to define emergency, but
you're the one that was carrying
gaming emergency. Yeah. Like the number of times someone's got wants to play Magic, or there's some game that you could benefit from some
Does
randomization
that
to a
mean that
D20.
did you also then carry an emergency like deck of Magic cards with you, just on the off chance that you might have to play like a game of Magic?
When I was right into Magic, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite a few years ago now, but probably.
Okay, and Kate, you said cards, I think, did you as well? Yeah.
They're much prettier, and it's less likely to overshoot the table.
Yeah, true.
True. Yeah.
All right, we have to get some dice people onto this show and have a proper competition. All right, so this one's probably the trickiest
Throw the dice
question.
at them.
Trickiest question so far. What 3 fictional characters would you invite to a game night? And what I'm envisaging is all at the same time. So, like, if you're going to have a game night with these 3 people, or characters, whatever they are.
Fictional characters. Interesting.
Yep.
Oh wow, you've stumped me there. That's a good one.
Well, that's all right. We can come back to that at the end of the day, end of the episode, if we remember and if we want to. Yeah, maybe I should have asked that one first. But okay, maybe just 1 or 2 then. Don't have to be 3. Let's just keep it casual.
Fictional characters that I'll invite to a board game night.
I reckon Elizabeth Bennet would be pretty good value at a board game night. Lizzie Bennet.
Is she Pride and Prejudice? Is that? Yeah, I've still never seen or read. Like, it's on my to-do list, but yeah. Okay.
Plus,
what
with
what
Mr.
about
Darcy, she's going to have lots of spending money for all the latest games.
So is that what's the rationale? So because she can supply the games.
She's smart and sassy, and she doesn't take crap from anyone.
Yeah, fair enough.
So attributes I can admire. Honestly, I wouldn't invite fictional ones. I'd have my friends who I don't get to see enough.
That's a very sensible answer.
Yeah,
that was a totally selfish answer. I want to see my friends more.
Oh, fair enough.
And if one of them happens to bring Lizzie Bennet, great.
Yeah. So maybe the new question really is, who do you want your friends to cosplay as at game night? All right. Well, we thank you for that. That was obviously a bit of lightheartedness. So what I'll just do now is basically just ask both of you some questions about, how you ended up at Launch Tabletop and maybe some of your history with tabletop games in general. So, Alana, what do you do for Launch Tabletop?
I wear many hats. The official title is Chief Technology Officer, but I do most of the back-end coding, technology, kind of scoping, implementation, generating ideas around technology and sort of interesting use of technology in our tech stack. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm sort of the bit of the go-between between the imagination side of things and the harsh reality side of things when it comes to actually implementing stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
She's the lady what makes the electrons go.
Oh, so that's a better title there.
Yeah, I corral the electrons.
So,
Kate, what do you do for Launch Tabletop?
I'm the one responsible for most of the imagination.
That's right. Yeah.
I come up with the ideas that Alana goes, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
About, no, not really. Well, sort of, kind of. I am the product manager, which I don't know. What do I do? I manage Team UX. So I have Lee, who is my UX designer, who does not play board games. He knows literally nothing about board games, which is awesome sometimes because he has no idea what we're talking about. So he gives a very, very fresh opinion of what we can do or what we're doing in terms of, does that make any sense? He's like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that component is, but I don't understand it now that you've told me. It's like, okay, well, we should do a better job. I have Jason and Tanya, who are graphic designer and writer. We make the designs for the stuff that gets built. We're constantly changing things, which frustrates Alana's team no end because people go, that didn't work very well. We don't understand what you're doing. So we go, okay, well, we'll change it. How's this? Yeah, much better. And then we make someone go and build it. And that, yeah, it's a constantly shifting landscape. I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff that nobody ever really sees, organizing stuff. That's fine. That's the way I like it. Yeah, it's a weird kind of role, but it's a startup. So everybody does lots of things that perhaps normally they wouldn't in that specific role. But that's also what makes it interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So had either of you met before working at Launch Tabletop?
Years ago, briefly.
I met Kate back when I was still doing Rule and Make. I think first time I met Kate was, well, even before that, you showed us an early version of
at Indrapilli. Yeah, we came over to Indrapilli Library.
One of the testing game test days.
Let's just unpack some of this, because there's a lot of things here that people like me don't have any idea what you're talking about. First of all, I mean, I know the answer to this. What's Rule and Make? What was Rule and Make?
Rule and Make was a indie publisher company, board game publishing company that myself and Alan co-founded back in
2014, I think I've heard you say.
Yeah, 14, I think it was.
14 was when you ran the first Kickstarter.
Yeah. So that,
because Alan was at PAX 2014, so I don't know if you ran it that year.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it's about 2014. We ran our first Kickstarter, and we published a bunch of games, signed a few games. That was, it's almost ancient history now. But
so when you mentioned Rule and Make, though, you're a publisher was probably a short way of saying that as well. But and so what was the Indrapilli thing that you made? Was that just like a playtesting event that you made?
Yeah, so years ago, colleague of ours, Jason, who you know, Eris, as well, was running a playtest group, like a monthly or fortnight, I can't remember, playtest group. And that was one that Alan and I attended with our publisher hats on. And Kate was there, I think.
With Joel.
Was Joel there, I think? I think you were
Joel
both there.
Playtesting Unfair.
Yeah, playtesting a reasonably mature prototype of Unfair.
I can't remember what year it was. I think it was probably 2015.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 15,
which means
16,
it was
something.
Yeah, so Unfair had been through about 5 years of development by that stage, and it was kickstarted in 2016. So it was fairly
and mature. So for those that don't know, Unfair is what's Unfair?
It's that game right there on my shelf. It's my husband Joel wrote it. It's running a theme park with a bit of Take That in there, which has the result of it being a game that people either really love or they really dislike, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I remember even
adversarial.
Well, I remember even because in some of the Rule and Make discussions. So for my history, just for those who are wondering, I am a board game designer amongst other things, and was signed with Rule and Make. They signed my first game. So hey, and I remember in some of the initial discussions when a few of us had first seen Unfair, there was this there was that divisiveness of like this is like it can punch really hard, so can kind of it can get a bit funny, and at least it felt that way at the time. And so it was just it was even back then I remember that was one of the topics that we talked about amongst it.
I mean, Joel really enjoys giving people options. You can be a dick to people, pardon my French, if you find that offensive. People have just said that word. You can be like that to people.
We have no BP button, just remember.
So you can smack someone around with a card in the game if you want to, because it gives you the choice. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a terribly smart thing to do. It's like if you have a tool shop and a hammer, not everything you want to do involves a hammer. You don't have to use the hammer just because you've got it. And it's interesting seeing the reaction to the game, because it's like people feel like because they have the ability to do that they must. And it's like, no, you have free choice. You don't have to. Also, if you're playing with people who do nothing but use the hammer, maybe consider getting some better friends.
Well,
Yeah,
Just putting it out there.
it's the great friend screener.
Yeah.
To be fair to unfair though, it's not that it's not like some games like I've heard of I've heard and played other games that are way more
More vicious. Yes.
yeah. Or backstabby or whatever. Like this isn't like
absolutely.
that. Like okay. So
yes, so
Kate.
that was we were doing that thing and we turned up to this thing and Alan and Alana were there and I remember Jason was there as well. I don't remember anything else about it, but yeah, that was a while back.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna take a little drink because my throat is parched.
Yeah, that was a while ago now.
That was a long time ago now.
Yeah, and then I left the board game industry for a little bit.
Lee just turned up. Hey, Lee. There goes my whiteboard. Lee, you did that over there in the corner.
Oh, that's funny.
We're organising things in the office at the moment, and so I usually have a whiteboard behind me, and it's over there. And Lee disturbed it. Or not.
Good one.
Yeah.
I noticed Lee was in the chat, and then the thing fell over.
Cyber Lee, is that what we say? That doesn't sound right, does it? The word cyber, unfortunately, I think has been perverted.
So many other connotations now.
Yeah. All right. So, Kate, before you were working with Launch Tabletop, I know that you've worked with a number of different board game companies. Do you want to talk about any of your history with like working in the industry or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been really, really fortunate. I mean, I worked in web development for ages. I wasn't a developer, but I did a lot of usability stuff. I love user experience design. I'm not terribly good at it. I'm better at analyzing stuff. That's why I have Lee, who does the user experience design. I was able to transition when we decided we didn't want to do as much of that any longer. We've got another person in the chat. There's another Lee. Hey, other Lee.
We've got another Lee. Hello, other Lee.
A lot of the skills that I had from web design and development transferred really, really easily into board game stuff. So we started out with Unfair. All of the graphic design in there was Joel and little bits from me, and I did the majority of the rule book design and layout for that. And then I picked up some work with Druid City, James Hudson at Druid City, and worked with James until basically the start of this year. Worked on all of his games from Guardian's Call up until Tidal Blades 2, where it was it went back to him after he left Skybound, and I left Skybound at the same time. So we went to Skybound and I worked there. I got to work with an amazing team. They're based in LA. I was the only Australian on the team, so there were some very early Friday morning meetings. But I've gotten to do, party games with Cyanide and Happiness. I did Troll by Trolley. I've gotten to do like Wonderland's War, the first. It's over that shoulder now. There's the original production copies. I worked on the original Tidal Blades game, lots of stuff with the Eisners. We got to go to the US to hang out with the Druid City crew for a week. We went to Columbus, to a castle just south of Columbus, which was amazing. It was very cool. And when this opportunity at Launch Tabletop came up, just around the time that our time at Skybound was coming to an end, I was like, yes, please. That sounds amazing. And here I am.
Nice. Yeah, so you're like... but also, like, one of the things I think is for me it's been good to learn from you is a lot of your experience has been in the, I guess, behind the scenes logistics, like getting the actual product, into like a physical making it happen. Yeah, like actually getting it real. And I think that's a side of making games that a lot of people it can be difficult to be aware of and then to learn, and was that I think that was outside my street.
Racing going on.
Might have been my traffic outside.
Oh no, I think I saw a car go by at the same time, so I think it was me. But I think there's a side of making games that a lot of game designers and even publishers who are starting out underestimate, and it's just how do you get the products made, and then how do you get them to customers? And like, there's a whole lot of obviously complexity in that, and I know even with some of the stuff I've done, that learning some of that has been challenging, and I've really appreciated hearing your insights, because you've done a lot of that with all those companies. So
I find that stuff fascinating. I love doing it. I'm always happy to talk to people who are like, how does it get from this to this? It's like, well, buckle up, let's talk. Because it's fun. And I've been working with Nick since Guardian's Call. Nick's company, Ninox, did the production on that.
So Nick
Chan,
is the
our
CEO. Yes, he's the CEO of Launch Tabletop.
And working with Nick, I've learned enormous amounts about all of that stuff. And I'm still learning things. Like, it wasn't just going to go out here and say this if people are like, oh, there's so much I don't know. That's fine. We don't know it all either. I only worked out the role of spot colors in printing earlier this year in a CMYK file with why we use spot colors. Been doing this for not quite a decade yet, but more than half a decade, still learning stuff.
There's always something to learn.
Yeah,
I think it was 2015 maybe. Alan and I traveled to China and went to visit Nick, and he took us to their production facility, and that was an eye-opening experience. Like, actually seeing
to go and see the factory.
Yeah, that, like, the nuts and bolts of how games are physically made was quite fascinating. We got to see everything from from the prototyping rooms, testing, all the way through to finishing and shipping. It was quite fascinating. So
So, and that's probably something that I forgot to mention earlier, or maybe it's a detail that is good to add in now, is that so Launch Tabletop, we have a bunch of Australians on the team, and then we also have the production facilities in China, and there's also then like Nick and some of the team are based in Hong Kong. Do we have any team members anywhere else? I can't remember right now.
Well, Carmen's currently on holidays in Ireland.
Yeah, in Ireland,
that is quite what you mean. We've got our two programmers, Eric and Carmen, who are also based in Hong Kong. But
so we sort of
everyone.
So we sort of
Hong Kong, China.
And that sort of seems to be the makeup right now. But I know we've had different people from other parts of the world work over the time with us. So it's something. So we are kind of a dual identity, I guess, in that sense, in that we have this Australian component and contingent with the team, and then we also obviously have the Chinese Hong Kong, foundation, I suppose you could say, for the company. And I've certainly been learning a lot myself as well from talking to the team and learning about how different things are manufactured. I knew a little bit, but all right.
I would love to learn more about the production side. I think that would be great, just seeing how the factory actually works.
I definitely
class excursion.
Yeah, but also I think for this podcast, like, some of my goals would be to get some people on from within our company, but also from other companies, and talk about that, like talk about the manufacturing and talk about some of the logistics of doing things. And I think that'll be interesting, as well as game design and game production more locally, and distribution. But so Alana, you obviously founded and were part of Rule and Make. Then you said you left the game industry for a bit, and then you've come back for Launch Tabletop, or were you doing other things? I can't remember. Sorry.
No, I re-entered the board game industry. Was one of the founding members of Launch Tabletop. Sort of reconnected with a lot of people in the industry. Nick being one of them, and that sort of thrust me back into board gaming. It was sort of, I left the I left the industry about 6 or 8 months before COVID hit, so it was sort of a weird time for everybody anyway. Then I've come back into the industry kind of the tail end of COVID, so just as things are kind of ramping back up again, which is again sort of good timing. It's enjoyable to be back in the industry.
All right, so putting you on the spot, this is not in our show notes at all. What would be one tip that you would give to a publisher or board game designer that can improve the quality of their, manufactured game, or created game?
Interesting.
I've got one.
Okay, fire
We've
away.
got lots and lots of different software available to us. Like there are packages with suites of all of these things. You'll get a much better result if you use the piece of software that is designed for the purpose. So don't make all of your cards in Photoshop. It's not designed for that. It's not making your life easier just because you know how to use. It's like when you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Photoshop is like a hammer for some people. They build rule books in it. They build their cards in it. For getting pretties and, I want my layouts to look like this, it's a great tool for that. But for when it comes to getting stuff production, it's not the tool that you want. So use the tool that fits the purpose, which really is just telling everybody, go and learn how to use InDesign. It's more advanced, but it's also a really powerful tool that's going to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, and obviously, like, we all do use the Adobe suite, but I know there's a lot of people that don't have access to it, and it's understandable. It is pricey.
There are some alternatives.
That's right,
so you can use something similar, but
Yeah, and I think the message really is like whatever brand it is, that there are tools that are made for layouts, tools that are made for getting images to look good, and and other facets. And so just trying to learn the right tool for the job.
Yeah. And there are tons of people out there like me that have got big opinions on this stuff, and there are always conversations to be had. Yeah, but I've had to, Joel, for example, he does lots of work for Chad at 25th Century Games. And at the moment, he's dealing with a lot of rule books and layouts that are being licensed for North America and the English market, the English-speaking market, rather. And everything's been built in Photoshop.
Oh, wow.
And that's a real pain. If you're having to deal with localization and translations, having to pick all that apart.
And so to explain to listeners who might not understand, so Photoshop, one of its weaknesses is obviously editing text and laying out text. And so a tool like InDesign, or even to a certain extent Illustrator, but I would also argue that Illustrator isn't ideal for rulebooks as well, it's got more features, and it makes it a lot quicker and easier to do things and give you a better result when printing.
It's designed for desktop publishing. It's specifically for that. That's its reason for existing. So yeah.
Alana, did you think of a little tip or not?
I think taking the time to get familiar with printing terminologies is really useful, and also dissecting games that you own, like thinking about it from a manufacturing perspective. So like learning about the terminologies, but then going and looking for that in the games you own to kind of see what that actually means in the physical space. So there's a lot of things that aren't intuitive when it comes to printing, and I think understanding those processes will, I guess, help when you're making decisions about manufacturing your own game. So something that Alan and I did a lot when we first started publishing was we started noticing the games we were playing and the different materials they were using, and realizing some of the decisions that the different publishers were making for different reasons. Like card stock, for instance, just understanding what core stock actually means when people talk about black core, white core, blue core, purple core, like what that actually means and what the practical reasons are for doing that. And different things like how game boards are bound and cut, the different styles of, whether it's, folded or cut boards or things like that. I think that's really useful to have that knowledge in your toolkit.
And the implications, if you choose a particular method of manufacturing or technique or whatever, the implications for that down the line.
There's
just big flow effects.
It's a big space, and I think just trying to gather as much of that information and having it sort of squared away in your head will make things a lot easier.
That's a really good one.
Because there's a lot of lots of gotchas.
But I think it's also like, we're obviously a manufacturer, but I know that pretty much every single printer I've worked with, or whatever, they've either got staff that will help, or if you can manage to get an email address and an account the person to talk to you, then they will answer your questions about what does this mean. And so, like, whoever you're using to produce your game, just ask them. Like, if you don't know, just ask them, and they'll tell you what works for their system, what can help you, and I think that can be a great way to learn as well. And I found it certainly helpful for me just to write an email to the printer and go, oh, you've quoted me this thing, or I don't understand this part, or if I go to this other cardstock, what does that actually mean? And sometimes they'll come back and they'll go, well, there's not much difference, just a personal preference. And other times they'll be like, oh no, here's a significant reason why one is better than the other, and whatever.
Yeah, but it's also this is the language that manufacturers use as well, and so if you know what the different processes are and terminologies are, it'll make it a lot easier when you need to talk to manufacturers. 4C, 320 GSM C2S or something like that. Like, that's literally something that a manufacturer.
I think I understood all of that. I'm pretty certain I understood all that. 4C would be full color.
It's a really technical. It's a really technical thing that we're dealing with, and there's jargon that goes with it, and there are so many abbreviations, many of them.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't know what they mean, and you just go, sure, having consulted with the manufacturer, and you don't actually understand what it is that you might be agreeing to, it can get you into a whole lot of trouble. So they're not going to go, oh my God, how stupid are you? If you're like, what's C2S? Well, and if they are, then they're not a good fit for you. You don't
I was going to say, if they're not going to help you, then I would be looking elsewhere. But but certainly my experience with the printers I've worked with is that they've been very helpful with trying to answer my questions, and it's helped me learn more about that. And tied in with that is, I remember when I first had to work on getting a game shipped. And we ended up going, like, I got the shipping organized from the printer. So the printer organized the shipping to get it to Australia, because I had no idea. But, like, just learning shipping terms, like, what does FWB mean? What does blah, blah, blah mean? And, like, and actually kind of, like, getting your head around some of those things, because then it can affect not only how you understand the process and what's happening, but it might mean that you can actually then be more knowledgeable with, oh, okay, if I pick option whatever, then it's got these pros and cons that maybe this other option doesn't have. And I found that for me anyway, I was just open with the printer, and they did explain stuff to me. They were like, oh, this is what this means. Now, obviously I did my own Googling, and I tried to ask other people if I knew someone that might know. But I think that the point that I'm trying to make is there is a steep learning curve that Alana and Kate have both highlighted in terms of for learning the technical side of things or the other components, and learning them, I think, is good, but you don't have to feel like silly or like anything. Like, just talk to your printer, and they should help you out.
Facebook groups. There are all these Facebook groups devoted to, I'm publishing a game.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? There are people in there who are going through it right now, who are also learning. People who've done it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, who are like, here's the problem with picking X warehouse shipping or FOB shipping or all those sorts of things.
FOB, that's what I was thinking. FWB, I've got it on before.
Freight on board.
Freight on board, When I said, I was like, FWB, that's the wrong acronym, I think. Anyway, so the shipping stuff though was crazy, because I remember I had to learn between DDP and DDW, which is duty delivery unpaid and duty delivery paid. And so basically the synopsis was for in Australia was does the printer pay the duties when they come into port, like to get into your country, like any of those duty taxes and fees, or do you pay that and
when it arrives?
When a boat arrives at the port for whatever port you've nominated in your your area, or your city, or whatever, and it was just something I was like, oh, it just sounds like such a minor difference, but it was like a big difference to work out and make sure that you knew what you were agreeing for in the contract and what you're actually going to be paying, because obviously if the goods arrive at your port and no one pays to have them released, then they're not going to go anywhere. So they kind of need to be sorted out.
That stuff, the logistics, that was just oh, I'm so glad someone else always looked
Yeah.
after that.
That's where shipping agents are really helpful.
Yes,
Worth
I've
their
never.
weight in gold.
I've never used one, but I was in contact with one to get some quotes. Actually, just during 2020, so it was like terrible timing. But and they were definitely very helpful. But the thing that I think about shipping that if we're going to take a digression, is nearly everyone I've spoken to about it, both that shipping agent, both printers and whatever, is that the shipping prices are fluctuating so much all the time. And this is even pre-COVID, and it's obviously exacerbated now, that you can't really get long-term quotes. Like you can't get a quote 6 months ahead and rely on it, so you sort of need, it does make the budgeting a lot harder. But it's something that kind of I learned. There's like, okay, if I'm going to be doing a bigger print run and I want to get them, all sent on a boat to a warehouse somewhere and wherever, then I can't just get a quote, 6 or 12 months ahead of time and just trust it's going to be accurate.
No.
So yeah,
No way. Yeah, there's lots of pitfalls with shipping. Shipping is it's ugly.
yeah.
It is. It's honestly
and then
amazing that anything ever leaves factories and makes it to the end with how
Yeah.
complex and, it is.
Yeah. Our very first game we published, Rise to Power, got stuck in Aussie customs because we had chosen to use some wooden components, and the customs officials had decided that that wood needed to be inspected and then irradiated.
Fumigated over. Yeah.
Yeah, they couldn't fumigate because it
Oh,
was
couldn't fumigate. Yeah.
plastic wrapped. And so they wanted to irradiate our entire shipment, which would have destroyed it because it would have ruined the paper. The irradiation can damage the paper, and I mean it's 99% paper. So,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
they had a change of heart like at the last minute, which was good for us. But that was very, very stressful, and it meant that our shipment was tied up in customs for like an extra 2 weeks. And you pay every day it's sitting there. You're paying for it.
You're paying them to store it, even though they're the ones holding it.
Storage fees. Yep, it's a real minefield. But that's like a whole episode of this podcast on its own.
Yeah,
talking
we'll
about
do it,
shipping.
and maybe we'll try and get someone on who is from one of those logistics companies or whatever, and or even just a publisher who's dealt with it, and we can talk about it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on, and we will do. What's the time? All right, we'll do this. So, this is purely just for I guess to talk about games that are in the world that we like, and I've picked a game to just raise awareness of, which you may or may not already know.
I know that game.
Yeah, so this is Herbaceous.
I got that one.
And it's one of my favorite games. It's by Steve Finn, Eduardo Baraf Ito. Sorry if I get your name wrong, anybody, but especially Ito, who I'm actually friends with. And Beth Sobel did the art, and it is
I
a
love
delight.
Beth's illustrations.
Yeah, this one.
I met Eduardo at Gamma in
Gamma.
Yeah, in 20 something or other when they were had a table for that game.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, I backed it on Kickstarter when it first came out, and Pencil First Games is their publishing name. But I've found this game to be pretty much the perfect game to always take with me if I'm ever going to a gaming event, or if I'm going somewhere where there's non-gamers as well, like as in it's a mixed group of people who play games or don't. And because it's a very easy game to learn, and it doesn't take too long to play, and it's just a little pleasant experience where you're basically collecting herbs. And so if you have the chance to check it out, I recommend it. He has also released, or the company's also released, a little tiny miniature version, which is about the size of a deck of cards, like a pocket version. So that's also available. And yeah, the core mechanic of it, though, just to talk about some game design, because we haven't really talked about any of that in this episode, and that's fine. But the core mechanic that I enjoy about Herbaceous is that there are two main areas to the game. There is a central area, which is the community garden, and then you've got your own little garden in front of you, like, which is your plot of land. And there's a deck of cards which have herbs on them, and when you flip a card over, and you have a choice to plant that in, I don't know if plant is the right word, but to put it in the community garden. Oh no, it is plant in the community garden, or plant it into your private garden. If it goes in the community garden, then later on anybody can have access to it if they're wanting to collect herbs for scoring. Or if it's in your private garden, it's only you that has access to it. But when you do that first card, you choose, does it go in the community garden or the private? And then you draw another card and it automatically goes in the opposite one. So if I drew the card first and looked at it and said, oh, I don't want that in my private garden, I put it in the community one, the second card I draw automatically goes to my private. So there's sort of a bit of a push your luck element to it and strategy about where you might want things for scoring. Because the scoring is there's 4 pots, they call them, and basically you are collecting herbs to pot them, and each of them has different scoring requirements. So each of the goal cards basically has a different scoring requirement. But I think it's the central mechanic of do I put this in the public communal area or the private area, and then the other one, the second card I draw, is the opposite. I find that just very simple, but like really delightful and easy to teach people, and it's a good choice without being too heavy a choice, if that makes sense. So yeah,
nice one. Well, you've inspired me now, because there's to think of a game that I want to talk about. A little game that I played years ago called Arboretum, which is it's very probably has similar kind of feel as maybe Herbaceous, but
4 years ago now, I think, Arboretum.
I think it's longer. I think it's older than that. Yeah, it got re-released about 4 years ago. Yeah.
So
okay.
I bought the Z-Man Games edition, which is this pretty little green box with gold ink. It's like a two-tone printing with just the gold
fancy.
ink, and it's very nice. And then Renegade Games re-released it in
It's the re-release I'm thinking of. I don't think I appreciated that it was
or something.
An older game. I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's been around for a little while now.
I'm trying to look it up, but my you found it, have you?
Dan Kasser. It's a great little game. It's a little like a hand management tile laying type game. You have your tableau, and you're building out your arboretum by trying to create runs of trees in different categories. And then there's a scoring at the end based on how well you've been able to acquire different trees and lay them out in different patterns to create runs of trees. You get different scoring. So it's a cute little game, a good little icebreaker.
Nice.
Board Game Geek is saying 2015. So
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I think I probably
for some reason I thought it was older, but that's nice. I've only played it once, I believe, but I definitely it was that kind of the positioning was really important. I remember, like, where do you plant the tree? Or
you want to create runs of different trees in different categories, and you don't want to cut yourself off from completing a run. If you get the wrong card or something, you want to try and manage your arboretum to make it as pretty as possible. So it's a very zen game.
Since we've got an unofficial theme now, Kate, is there a tree or plant-based game that you've enjoyed in the last few years? No,
I don't know, maybe there is, but I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I really like Quacks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Quacks.
Oh, yeah.
Love Quacks of Quedlinburg. It's.
Do you want to just describe it and describe what you like about it?
It's very silly. You are making potions. You are a quack doctor. You're making potions. You're trying. I
hadn't put that together. That was the reason.
Yeah, because you've got a cauldron and you're building a bag full of ingredients, and you can get away with putting a certain amount of the little cherry bombs in there before your cauldron goes boom, and you lose everything. So it's a push your luck kind of. What have I got left in the bag? Because it's not like you can go, oh, I'll have that one each time. You're drawing blind, and so you can add things like moths, and you can have pumpkin, which is just there to taste nice, and what else goes in
And
there? We
it
call
has
them
like it's like
jelly
a
babies.
spiral, isn't it? It's a spiral that you're placing the tiles onto when you draw them out.
I'd get it out and show you, but it's just too.
Yeah. No.
Right at the bottom.
That's okay.
But
That's okay.
yeah. And it's like we put all the tokens inside the little coin capsules that you can get off eBay. So they have this lovely clink, 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 clink in the bag. It just makes them easy to pull out of the bag as well. But that is, it's not my favorite game.
So
that's one
so
of them.
In terms of those, this is now a distraction, but the those little coin things, so they're made for normal metal coins, but they just happen to fit the
collectors. Yeah.
Oh,
they're the perfect size. Whoop! Where's the camera? There it is.
Yeah.
So that's one of the pumpkin tokens, and it just happens that this particular one is the perfect size for the tokens from this.
Yeah, that's great.
And it makes it more fun to play with. It's easier to pick them up. It makes them slightly bigger so they don't fit quite as neatly on the board, but overall the tactile experience I think is superior.
But that's an interesting thought for people making games, and even me thinking about it. Like if you're going to make circle tokens, look at what accessories are available to, like if people do want to protect them. Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But it's a lovely game because you're not interacting with anyone else really, but you still see what they're doing. It's not that I dislike interaction with others. Sometimes it's nice to have a game where it's just you and your thing and what you do. The only thing that is affected is your stuff. You're not messing with anyone else.
I've only played it once, but is there to get, because you're aren't you adding to your bag, like you're building your bag?
At the end of the round, you get points to spend, or you get points on the board that count towards victory at the end, and you may also get to have money to spend at the shop to buy more ingredients. So you're buying, I'll have this token, it goes in your bag, and this token, it goes in your bag.
Okay.
If your pot goes boom and it explodes, you can only do one of those, though. So you've got to choose, do you want the points for the end of the game or do you want the ingredients? If your pot doesn't explode, you can have them both. So there's that.
So it's a drafting mechanic, is it?
No, it's a bag builder. It's push your luck bag builder.
I think it's a shop that you can buy from in the middle.
Yeah, so there's a limited range of ingredients at the start of the game, and they unlock a couple of extras as you go. So
is some of the interaction in that, like I could buy a token that you were wanting? Like, is it limited?
No, there's a pool of them. Like there's sort of 20 of them.
Yeah, okay. So it is.
I don't think we'd ever run out of them. I suppose if everyone was like, no, I really want the mandrakes, you might run out of mandrake.
Is it a game I played years ago, which I love, is Oleons, which is you have a bag and you collect.
I haven't actually played it. I think it's quite similar.
Similar to that, right?
Sort of, kind of. It's a bag of stuff, and you go.
Yeah, you have a bag, you put the stuff in it, and then you pull out like 5 or so
one at
each
a time,
turn or whatever. And yeah, cool. I like that.
I just spelled Tegan's name incorrectly in the chat, but
flicking game.
Yeah, so Tegan,
Ice Cool with the penguins.
I think so. I've only played Ice Cool once, but Jump to Jupiter is a great game. I got to play it at the Oh, there is some background banging happening somewhere.
Yeah, Joel. Sorry. Recording the podcast.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's right. I was just like, "Oh, sounds like someone's got something going on." But so Jump to Jupiter, it was is a game that Tegan has been making. I got to play it at a convention at the very beginning of 2020, just before everything kind of went haywire. But the premise is that you are flicking spaceships on this giant mat to different planets, trying to get scoring and knocking people off stuff. And yeah, it's a really clever game. So I look forward to hopefully Tegan can is going to find a publisher for it, and I look forward to seeing it in the flesh when that happens.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But Tegan just mentioned that she used the coin as you saw. She used the coin capsules because I think in the production version it'd probably be like, and Tegan would now tell me if I'm wrong, but probably like poker chips or something like that. I imagine would be what you would use in a production version of it. So the coin capsule things make sense for testing. Cool. All right. Well, we are pretty much at the hour mark now. So I will go back to my notes and see all right. So obviously we are from Launch Tabletop, and we talked about that at the start of the episode. I just thought maybe you could spend a couple of minutes telling our audience just some updates on anything that might be on the horizon for what we're doing. Is there anything about the service that you would like to share?
Well, the big release that we've got coming up is it's nicknamed the PDF Stitcher because we haven't come up with a better name for it.
It's Smusher, Smusher.
The Smusher Stitcher. The Smusher is what
It's the art Smusher.
Yeah, we take your art, we smush it into a PDF, and we slap some guidelines on it. So the requirements in terms of the skill level that you need to be able to produce art at the moment, it's high. We misjudged a bit on that one, but it requires, you've got to be able to output stuff with Illustrator or InDesign really, and that's just not realistic. So got lots of feedback from people, and very, very quickly realized that we needed to make it easy for people to say, I've got my art as PNGs and I want to use those. So Lee has designed an interface for, here are all of my card fronts, put them in the correct order. That's wrong, get rid of it, or that's wrong, switch the file, drag it around, put them in the right order. Eric, one of our front-end developers, is working on it at the moment. Saw the first working implementation of it, was it a week ago, I think?
Yep.
Which was pretty exciting.
Yeah, you're going to get a new version of it probably later today to toy with, Kate.
Cool.
And when are we expecting this to be available for people to look at or test or use?
That's the magic question, really, isn't it?
I know, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, probably in the next couple of weeks, I reckon.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah,
everybody go and knock on some wood.
Lots of testing to do.
And so just to summarize, just to summarize what it is. So basically, currently the requirement is you have to upload a PDF file that meets certain criteria. And with this new system, you can upload individual images, and then the system will generate the PDF file from your images. And so it just makes it a lot easier.
The old system.
No, you could still do the old one. Yeah.
So if you do have that level of skills, you can still give us professional quality PDFs, and you're going to get a beautiful result. If you don't have those skills, though, this is a system enhancement to make life easier for you as well. So it'll take your 54 PNGs for your card fronts, and it'll generate a PDF with the die line correctly placed on it as the system requires. That will pass our pre-flight test.
So it'll generate the file. You'll still have to go and the file will still go through our pre-flight system, but you would hope that it passes, given that we're generating it. So that'll be part of the testing.
The testing, exactly.
Yeah, that's the idea, and it bypasses that need for InDesign or something.
Yes, and it just means that people who don't have all the software to make those files, they can use it. So it's really much more accessible. Do we have now this is off the top of my head, unplanned, so you can just say no, but if someone wanted to be a tester for any of our new features or anything like that, do we have any kind of way that they can do that or reach out to you or anything?
Get in contact, definitely. Jump on the Discord.
Oh, yes. Discord. Hey, I've got a button for the Discord.
We have a Discord server that we
that one.
would love people to go and... Hey, that's my cat. That we would love people to come and have a chat to us on. They could also email us at support@launchtabletop.com and say, hello, I would like to be a tester for the Smusher or Stitcher. And we'll know exactly what you're talking about. Just in case you're concerned, Smusher is spelled SMOOSHER.
We'd also accept a couple of extra O's as well. So.
And maybe a U.
Did I spell that email address correctly? I just quickly typed it in because I hadn't had that pre-prepared.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's it.
Good. I didn't make any typos. Nice. Yeah, wonderful. So I think that will be the end. Those of you who are hearing this or watching this on YouTube, if you could please give our channel a like and subscribe, as the cool kids say, then that will really help us with obviously trying to make more of these videos and get better at doing them as well, because we're still figuring it out. All right. So,
And if there's something you want us to talk about, tell us.
Yeah.
If there's like, I would really, really like to know about this aspect of production. Tell us.
Yeah, and
we love talking nonsense about stuff to do with this.
And that's also, like, I guess one of the main things that we're hoping for the Discord community to grow is where people can talk to each other and talk to us about how to make their games and how to make them better and how to deal with production and how to deal with shipping and all the nuances that go into it, but as well as just the actual just game design itself. So yeah, please join our Discord. We're not really sure what form this podcast is going to take going forward, so we're just kind of figuring it out. But one of the things that will probably happen is that we will put any advanced information on the Discord. So if you want to kind of be more aware of what's happening or even give us questions or anything like that, then that would be definitely the place to do it. And I don't know if Kate and Alana are aware, but I created an actual Materialise channel in Discord so people can post stuff in there too.
Yes, I saw that.
And yeah, so that has been the show. I'll go to my little graphic for the outro, and I'll get rid of the Discord thing because doubling up on the Discord stuff. Oh, and we've also got the logo. Oh boy, I'm doing so good here. Here we go. Get rid of that. There we go. So thank you very much for everyone who has taken a listen or a look at our video today. And yeah, if we have any questions, please post them in the comments or send them to us via Discord or send them to us via the support@launchtabletop.com email address. And maybe we should work on getting an actual podcast email address that isn't support related for people that just want to chat about the podcast. That might be something we work on for next time. All right. Thank you very much, Kate and Alana, for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
And
thanks for organising.
No worries. And yeah, so we're hoping to do this fairly regularly, maybe even weekly. So just keep an eye on any of our communication channels for Launch Tabletop, and you'll be able to see when we go live next. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. See ya.
See ya.